We're going to talk about how to convert between U.S. customary units of conversion. This is very similar to when we talked about equivalent fractions. So you're not trying to change the amount that's there, you're just trying to express it in a different kind of unit. So for example, we talked about what it looks like if you have 4/6, which is the same as 2/3. Now, those are the same thing because if I take the top and the bottom for 4/6 and I divide the top and the bottom by, not 3, but if I divide the top and the bottom by 2, 2/2 is 1, and that leaves me with 2/3. Or vice versa, if I were to multiply the top and the bottom of 2/3 by 2/2, 2/2 is 1, and that gives me 4/6. So these are the same amount, just expressed in different ways. We're going to do the exact same thing, but with different units of measurement. So you're going to notice these are very similar to fractions. So the first one, and actually let's take a look at a little bit more of the screen. The first one says, Shen caught a 4-pound fish. How much did it weigh in ounces? So in order to convert between one set of measurements to the other, we need to know what is called a conversion factor. So we know that 1 pound and 16 ounces are the exact same thing. So what my goal is I'm wanting to end with ounces. What I'm starting with is 4 pounds. So if I'm starting with 4 pounds, I can really call that, if I want to, I can call that 4 pounds over 1. And then I am very similar to what we just saw. I'm going to multiply that by a fraction. But if I'm going to multiply that by a fraction without changing the amount, it has to be a fraction that represents 1. So I have two pieces of information. I know that 1 pound and I know that 16 ounces are the same thing. 1 pound and 16 ounces are the exact same thing. So 1 pound over 16 ounces or 16 ounces over 1 pound are the exact same thing. Just like how 7/7 or 14/14, those are all 1. Well, this is something over itself. Yes, it's expressed in a different way, but 1 pound and 16 ounces are the exact same thing. So I'm going to use that because this is 1 and this is 1. So I'm going to use that to rewrite something in pounds as something in ounces. I don't want the pounds to be in my final answer, and like I just said, anything over itself is 1. So if I have pounds on the top, I want to get rid of pounds, and we said anything over itself is 1, even units. A pound over a pound would go away. So I want the 1 pound to be on the bottom, which means my 16 ounces has to be on the top. Let's get rid of some of this gobbledygook over here to give myself a little more room. Okay, and this is just multiplying fractions, and I can start reducing things. This is 4 pounds is very similar to saying 4 times 1 pound. Pound over pound, so here pounds over pounds are going to reduce to 1. And I'm left with 4 times 16 ounces. I got to do this kind of in pieces. 4 times 6 is 24. Carry my 2. 4 times 1 is 4, plus 2 is 64. I get 64 ounces all over 1, which is just 64 ounces. Now, I'm not going to lie, Alex has a different way of explaining this. If you like that way better, go with that way. This is just an alternative way, alternative method. I actually prefer this way. The way Alex does it, you have to know if you're multiplying or dividing, and we'll see some kind of different things. So let's go to my next picture. Okay, so let's see this again. Okay. So in this one, it says, on a long hike, Carlos drank 5 pints of water. How much did he drink in quarts? Write your answer as a whole number or a mixed number in simplest form. Include the correct unit in your answer. Now, generally, they are going to give you the measurements of pints to quarts. They don't seem to give it right now, so let me see what it is. I don't know this one off the top of my head. I think it's 4. Okay, so in this case, if you click on explanation, they have a chart. You guys are welcome to just kind of print that chart out and have it with you. But I know, I looked it up, and we have 4 pints is the same as 1 quart, which means 2 pints over 1 quart is 1, or 1 quart over 2 pints is 1. So I'm going to use one of these. These are both conversion factors. So I am going to start with 5 pints. So on a long hike, Carlos drank 5 pints of water. So we are starting with 5 pints, and I can call that 5 over 1 or 5 pints over 1 times. Now again, I want to get rid of the pints, so I'm going to have my pints go on the bottom. I want to figure out how many quarts, so quarts are going to go on the top, and we know that there are 2 pints to 1 quart, and now it's just a matter of reducing. Pint over pint leaves me with 1. 5 times 1 gives me 5. 1 times 2 gives me 2, and I'm left with quarts are my only unit left. Write your answer as a whole number or a mixed number in simplest form. So this is an improper fraction, so we just got to convert it to a mixed number. I can take 2 2s from 5, and I'm left with a 1, and so we have 2.5 quarts. Okay, so generally our rule of thumb is whatever unit you are trying to get rid of should go on the opposite side, because anything over itself is 1, and the unit you're trying to get, well, it's only going to go in the only spot that's left. So let's take a look at another one. Okay, so this one is kind of interesting because it's not just one unit. Hopefully this is a unit you know off the top of your head, but if you don't, we are going from feet to inches. So if I take a look at this one, it says you have 5 feet and 5 inches. This is very similar to a mixed number. 5 feet plus 5 inches. I could call it that if I want to. And I want everything in terms of inches. Well, part of it's already there. So I can just leave my 5 inches alone. So I'm going to take my 5 feet. I can call it 5 feet over 1. I want to get rid of feet. So feet are going to go on the bottom. I want inches. Inches are going to go on the top. And I know that there is 1 foot and 12 inches are the same thing. Feet over feet go away. 5 times 12 is going to give me 60 inches all over 1. 60 inches. 60 inches is 5 feet. I have a board that's 5 feet, 5 inches, so I have the 5 feet is now 60 inches, plus the 5 inches I already had. So my final answer is 65 inches. Okay. Now, keep in mind, when you are converting, if you are going from a larger unit like feet to a smaller unit like inches, you are going to end up multiplying by the conversion factor. If you are going from a smaller unit to a larger unit, you're going to end up dividing. if you go with the explanation in ALEKS, that's kind of how they explain it. I don't want to have to know that. So if we do it this way, you actually don't need to know if you're multiplying or dividing. You just follow whatever when you multiply the fraction. If you multiply straight across, well, if there's something in your denominator, that tells me division, right? So let's take a look at this next one. Today is Heather's birthday. She is 8 years old. How old is Heather in months? So start it. I got 8 years over 1 times, I need to multiply by some form of 1. I want to get rid of years. I want to end up with months. Hopefully you guys know that 1 year is the same as 12 months. Okay, this is another one of those, we're going from a larger unit to a smaller unit. My years, year over year goes away, turns into 1. 8 times 12, well, 8 times 2 gives me 16, carry the 1, and I am ending up with 96 months. Okay, so these ones have been pretty straightforward. Let's see when it changes a little bit. So now with this one, let's pick another color. Let's do purple. A pail holds 4 1/4 gallons of water. How much is this in cups? Again, I don't have the conversion factors in front of me, so let's take a second. We'll put it. Okay, so I stole these from the little chart that ALEKS gives you, and now we have to figure out how this is going to help us answer this question. So I know that I can start. Normally, if it was 4 gallons, we would say 4 gallons over 1. It's a lot easier because I know I'm multiplying. We don't really like to multiply mixed numbers. We would rewrite it as an improper fraction. So the first thing I want to do is rewrite 4 1/4 gallons as an improper fraction. 4 times 4 gives me 16, plus 1 is 17. So I have 17 over 4. And the gallons, I'm going to put that, that's going to be in my top. Because if it was just 4 gallons, it'd be 4 gallons over 1. So the gallons go in my numerator. There's no unit in the bottom. That's totally fine. And now we want to multiply, and I want to get rid of the gallons. So I know that that's going to go on the bottom. So now I'm going to have gallons down here because that's what I want to get rid of. But the only thing I have is gallons to quarts. I want to end up with cups. I can't go directly from gallons to cups. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go from gallons to quarts. So I'm going to say I have 1 gallon is the same as 4 quarts. Okay, well, that's going to give me, I can start doing some reducing now. Gallons over gallons gives me 1. 4 over 4 gives me 1. So I have 17 times 1 times quart. It gives me 17 quarts. Over 1 times 1 is just 1. I'm going to actually leave this as a fraction for now because I'm not done. I am not to cups yet. I want to get to cups. So I did gallons to quarts. That's done. Now let's say, okay, I want to get rid of quarts. And I want to get cups, but I don't have quarts to cups. I do have quarts to pints. So let's just do that. Quarts to pints. 1 quart is the same as 2 pints. And now we can start reducing. Quart over quart is 1. And I'm going to multiply straight across. 17 times 2 is going to give me 34. I am left with pints, so I have 34 pints. And this is all over 1 again. And for the same reason, I'm not done. I want my answer to be cups. I have one last thing to do. I can now get rid of my pints. Pints on the bottom. And now I do have a pints to cups. 2 cups are the same as 1 pint. And I can finally switch over to cups. Pint over pint is going to go away. 34 times 2 is going to give me, 4 times 2 is 8. 68 cups. Okay, so this is not any different than what we've been doing. You can see this is called a 2-step conversion, so it could take a little bit longer.